Hey, and welcome to another episode of Getting Random with Z Singleton. Today I have with me Donya, and I'm not going to say her last name because I don't know. Is it okay if I say your last name?
Totally fine with me.
All right, Saunders.
That's me.
Donya Saunders. All right.
Hey.
I'm so happy to have you here with me. So the reason why you're here with me today is because my goal is always when I have a show is to bring some type of awareness of any
Mm.
sort. Sometimes they're a little too random, and you probably are like, "What is that episode?" But hopefully, you get something out of it. You can pull it out. So today, I'm being very at the point of I'm bringing awareness. Um, I will say right now that I apologize because there were some things that I did not follow up with, which is like timeline as far as years.
Okay.
And I'm human, and I'm willing to say this is my embarrassment at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we gonna go into it because I'm sure everybody like, what she mean awareness? Awareness of what? What we wearing? Well, you ain't wearing. Hopefully, you wearing clothes. I mean, if you in your own house,
No judgment.
wear whatever you want. It could be your birthday
Nudity is the
suit.
best.
Huh?
Nudity is the most comfortable form of existence.
Have you ever been to a nudist?
I would love to. I would love to go to a nude beach,
Uh huh.
a nude colony.
Uh
But
huh.
I've been told a lot of the elders show up at these functions. Like they're just
They just free balling it.
sagging it and letting it hang and swing.
It's just a whole
Yeah.
wow
Bow,
moment.
bow, bow, bow. Yes, that's how it is out
Well,
there.
you know what? I think as you get older, you just kind of feel like, F it, I done did what I need to do. You gonna like this sagginess or whatever. You know what? I feel bad because I'm sure some people maybe not be saggy.
That's real.
Yeah, and so we just pretty much just defined everybody as that's older as saggy
Generally
balls,
speaking, no disrespect to the elders because I love elders. I am about to be an elder.
that part.
So
Yeah.
rock out with your cock out and your breast. If they're hanging low, let it go.
Right. If they, yeah, I'm gonna end it there, but
This is a great segue, though, I guess, into
it is. That's exactly what I was about to say. That this goes right into where what I was going to talk about, as far as awareness and just being people. This is such a, it's so crazy because it's a hard conversation for me. And let me tell you why it's a
hmm,
hard conversation for me. Because I know so many individuals I know that are a part of the LGBTQIA community.
hmm,
And I sometimes it bothers me when people are not open. And if it bothers me, I know for sure it bothers individuals who actually are a part of the community and are trying to find their way in this world every day. Something that I did look up is that we're at a point where it's basically like in 2023, it
hmm.
was at a rate of 46% of individuals who were under 18 years old that were still considering suicide. And there are a lot of individuals also, and this is coming from the Trevor Projects, by the
Shout
way.
out to the Trevor
This
Project.
is not just me like, oh, let me just bring it up in my
Hmm.
head and make it up. No, this is really what's happening. And 41% is a lot.
And when you're talking about our babies,
And we're talking about our babies, and I think that's the part too, because just knowing, just working in the field of mental health and
hmm,
everything, and just how hard it already is just being a human being,
hmm,
then supposedly you're going against norms. You're going against societal norms of like, okay, well, you were born a boy, you are a boy, or you were born a girl, you are a girl, or you can only like this, and it's against the church and everything. So it's that's why I think this conversation is hard for me.
sure.
And then there are parts where for me, because again, I am heterosexual,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to respect. I always want to be respectful, and I know that I've watched episodes, so I know like this is so crazy. But like Grey's Anatomy had an episode because I'm
Hmm.
a big Grey's Anatomy fan,
Huge.
and there was a scene where like older doctor was basically like, pronouns, what are pronouns, why we gotta sit there and actually do that, it's a he, she, but the reality of it is that that makes a difference, being able to actually go off of the, if you respect that part, like being called your pronouns, that may save a life.
It matters.
It matters, yeah.
And I want to level set and say, one, my pronouns are she, her. I identify as lesbian, which is a whole story of its own. And I am not speaking for the entire community.
Right.
I'm only going to lean into my lived experience here. But the stuff that you're talking about, it's really unique in a way, and I say that because we're talking about 2024.
Right.
And if we're arguing about someone's pronouns in 2024, we're really headed in the wrong direction. And, super plug, this is a year to vote. And if you understand the powers that be and who will represent your voice, go out and vote
Please
that
vote.
Tuesday in November. I don't know if it's the 4th this year or not. Um, but we have to, I appreciate you bringing up this respect, right? Because
Right.
at the foundation of humanity, if I don't have a level of respect for you, we cannot exist in this space
Right.
together, right?
Right. What is it? Coexist?
I do
Yeah.
not, I'm not concerned with the way that you move in this world, and I'm going to continue to shove my beliefs onto you and tell
Right.
you that you're wrong,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I think that has really been a part of my experience, so much so to the point of where there was a good portion of my life where I did not, I was super closeted, refused to be in long term relationships for fear of losing my own community. And that was more important to me, the sustainability of where I felt loved, where I felt supported, were people that I've been so closely connected to for years, coming from a Baptist household and not wanting to relinquish any of that. So I just silenced myself, and I wasn't really able to formulate strong relationships because I knew this can only go this far.
Right. And so, what age would you say that you begin to have the struggle, if
Mm-hmm.
that's the correct word to use for?
I I understand why you offer struggle. I think for me, it just became an air of like, ooh, there's something different happening in my matrix
Mhm.
that none of my homegirls are really expressing, or and maybe they just weren't at the time because I'm thinking about like between 92 93. I remember, I'm gonna call my homegirl SB. I was hanging out at my house with EH and SB, and I happened to be laying on SB's lap, and I looked up and I felt like this intense surge run from here all the way down to my toes. And I was like, what is that? Mind you,
Mhm.
in middle school, I had a boyfriend or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Used to like be on party lines and talking to folks and all that.
Right.
But this moment really was like a strike lightning. And I was like, oh, I am attracted to her. Oh my
Mm.
God, I'm attracted to her. And I didn't know what to do with that.
Right. Because
I
you were in middle school.
In middle school. I'm
Yeah.
like 12, 13. And one, this is my friend.
Mhm.
So that made things a little bit more complex.
Mm.
And two, I have never like seen anyone in my family, any of my friends, anyone
Mm.
on TV.
Right.
There no representation to explain to me what I'm feeling. I knew girls like boys, boys like girls,
Mhm.
period. That is how we go in this world.
Right, and you have to think about it also during middle school is basically when we're just starting to figure out our bodies, period, as individuals. So, like, we're going through menstrual cycles, we're growing, abreast. We're growing, things is happening down there that we don't understand.
Hmm.
So now you're adding on. I'm trying to figure out what is these emotions that I'm going through.
1000%. And there was nowhere to place that.
Mm-hmm.
So I also did not want to be. I was already different because I was always the big girl in the group. I
Mm-hmm.
was always like also like the tomboy, hanging out with, had all the homeboys, but also had all the homegirls. I was
Right.
like that perfect in the in between person.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, well, let me throw that. That was just a little weird feeling. Throw that to the side. Flash forward to high school. And in the interim, I had a boyfriend in high school when I was 16, I believe,
Mm.
and I, I
Did you just have a whole memory?
because thinking about this dude, like I don't know where you are today. No disrespect to you, but definitely not interested.
So why did you
And
choose them?
grew up in the church,
Uh huh.
rode around the same crew,
Uh
and within this crew, it was like, oh, people were kind of breaking off within this crew,
huh.
and this person was just a part of my life, and it seemed kind of simple, and we were friends. He was
Right.
cool. He was cool,
Mhm.
like I'm like being a weirdo showing up to baseball games. And let me also say this. Sexuality is extremely fluid. In that time on the spectrum of what I was interested in,
Mhm.
we had a great time. I
Right.
enjoyed kissing him. I enjoyed touching him. I enjoyed what was happening in that moment. And then I my eyes opened up to what I felt when I was 12, 13.
Mhm.
And I started going to the library, started going to Blockbuster, trying to find stories about there's got to be a movie about this. There's got to be something that will help me to understand what it is that I'm feeling. And this is how cold it was. I would come home because I wanted to talk about it. I didn't
Right.
know that there weren't organizations that I knew about, as
Mhm.
I'm someone that is a part of the nonprofit community and have worked diligently within, supporting the development of young people. I didn't feel like I had that. I literally grew up in the church. That was where my youth development happened. And I'm not
Right.
knocking that. It was so much fun. I still have so many friends from church.
Mhm.
And being in that space, it also taught me doctrine of how to be in this world. And if I peel all of that back, everything leads back to white supremacy and patriarchy. Let's just fight me, okay? But
So, but
saying a lot of things.
you good, you good, you good. But I
Let
want
me
to
take a
keep us,
sip.
on track
Uh-huh.
of what we're discussing. So
Okay.
something that I thought about while you were sitting here, basically, is that struggle is not the word. You were on a journey,
Mm.
and
I
so
was growing into myself.
yes, yes,
And so like I'm traveling on this spectrum of who Donya is,
mhm.
and which I'm saying sexuality is extremely fluid in this way.
Oh yeah,
I am who I am today, and there's no harm or judgment in a new development occurring, right?
right.
But I am definitely devoted to vagina, like henceforth and forevermore. Um,
So
so great.
when did it finally just hit you like, you know what? Oh, tap that. I wasn't supposed to tap. Sorry, my bad. This is who I am.
Mm, yeah, because I was definitely shoved back into the closet. My family, my parents and I have a great relationship now, but it was a major point of contention.
Mhm.
And I will say, one of my best friends, I went to their birthday party. I'm remembering this like it happened last night. Had like a confetti packet, and I share my wall was adjacent to my parents' wall. We have a shared wall. I
Mhm.
can hear my mother telling my father, "You better go talk to her." And this is like on a Sunday morning. I have not woken up yet to get ready to go to Sunday school. And then it's like muddled conversation, and I hear my dad walking down the hallway, and he just kaboom, guess who steps in the room? My daddy. It's my dad. And
Right.
he is like, I don't know what's going on with you and all this gay shit. but you can't do that. This
Mm.
is not acceptable. This is not how we do in this house. And get ready for Sunday school. And in all of the theatrics that I was practicing as a young thespian in high school, rolled out of my daybed onto the floor, and that package of confetti was on the floor, and I ripped it open. Confetti is falling. I'm rolling on the ground, crying, screaming. "Ah!" And my dad
Oh,
is
it was
like,
a whole
"Oh, it was a whole
scene.
scene," and he
Oh,
was like,
wow.
"Okay, clean that up and get ready." And we're going. And I just went to church like nothing, and we never talked about it again. Never talked about it again. So then
Wow.
I'm whisked off to college, and I have been told by people in my church, you are confused. That is not who you are. That is not of
Mm.
God. You're not born that way.
Mm.
You've been around the wrong people.
So that goes into the whole conversion of therapy. That's what they were starting to lead
Yeah, in
to.
their own
Yeah.
right and way.
Right.
Like there was like prayer, and this can be prayed out of you. Like I was seen as a problem because developmentally I was reaching a point where I wanted to comfortably say I like girls,
Mm-hmm.
but that wasn't okay in like 97, 98. That wasn't okay in my
Yeah.
household. I'll say in my household.
Right. But you know what? If we were to actually even look it up, 97, 98, you got to think like everybody in the 80s were like, "Oh, this is how you get AIDS. This is the gay community." Like it was always you always heard something as a kid for me, cuz you got to think that yeah.
Hmm.
And then now like you basically we still in the 90s, so people are still closed-minded, though you start to see little things that are happening. You don't see what I mean. 2024 is completely different because now you see it on commercials, you see it in movies, you see it. You know, families are being visible. Like it's not as something that's a closed door anymore.
Hmm.
And I mean I respect it completely. A lot of people still don't, but I want to know what finally just because that like you said like you went to church like nothing happened. That's deep. That's hard. That's like that's like having to go after having someone say, "I don't want to be with you no more," and then you guys still go to work and function.
Been there too. But yes, it definitely was, and I think growing up and in the 80s and 90s, children were to be seen and not heard. There was
Right.
definitely like a strong theme of adultism
Mm-hmm.
where we were not able to speak so freely. Like I love that young children and young people are able to be so expressive
Yes.
safely, right?
Right.
There was no safety in anything that was not falling into the uniformity of Christianity, and what American culture deemed as okay. Because still, as you said,
White supremacy.
97,
Right.
98, it still wasn't really mainstream to be
You
okay
could.
with
Yeah. You
being
couldn't be
gay.
okay
It
at
really
all.
wasn't. So you were
Mm-mm.
finding pockets of community that said, "Hey, we accept you as you are," and I didn't get that until I was in college. And I went to college Bible thumping. There was a very much so out person on my hall,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, you're going to hell." First week I met her, I said, "Oh yeah, no, you're a demon, and you are supposed to be with a boy."
So you pretty much mirrored whatever
1,000%.
you were was done to you
Even though
because
in my heart
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I had a crush on a girl at the same time I'm telling this person that,
mm, 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 mm,
yeah, internalized homophobia is what I was experiencing deeply. I
mm-hmm,
was jealous that I was watching so many 18, 19-year olds freely be
mm-hmm.
themselves,
Right.
and I did not have that. Um, and that was a hard challenge for me to just see like you get to exist in this world that way.
Right.
I don't have that freedom, and I also want to add another layer to this conversation. As a black child, the intersectionality of my culture and sexuality, there is a clear path for how you are supposed to be, right?
Right.
Especially for young women, right? You know, there are so many expectations that are placed on what it means to be a girl,
Mhm.
right? And if you
Mhm.
step outside of those social norms, you are you're bad,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah, you're the black sheep all day long.
And that's never been me. I've always been that kid that's like, I'm going to get the good grades. I'm going to make you proud of me. Look at
Mm.
me. I'm doing good. So this was a halting screech
Right.
to
Oh,
that.
they killed their whole soul because you went against the grain
Hmm.
all the way. Um, I want to know because if I can, let's push it up a couple of years.
Okay.
So at this point, you now, I want to go. No, let's go back. I want to go back to where you basically were Bible thumping.
Okay.
How long did that Bible thumping happen?
Oh, that. So my first year in college was fall of 98 and into 99, right?
uh
That fall, you know, your first year into college, you think you are like, oh, I'm here, I'm an adult now. And so about a good, we were on a quarter system,
mm-hmm.
a good 10 weeks, I was telling this person and having meetings with other Christians on the hall, like, this is wrong, right? What are we going to do about it? Like, let's find scripture and all this stuff. And when I say uh, this, this girl stood on business and was like, get the hell out of here with that. Like,
Oh, she
what's
was
going on with you?
strong. She knew
Very
what
much
she
so
knew who
strong.
she was.
She knew who she was, and she
That's
was
what's up.
affirmed in that,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
there's a significant power in being in a space um, where people are affirming who you are and cheering that on, right?
Right.
And normalizing it.
Right.
That's the thing. This had not been normalized, and I'm in no fashion saying that folks in the community are it's normalized now to be.
Right.
There are so many places still where there is unsafety, right? And
Completely
people are
yes.
trying to fight for their rights to just be who they are, and that's like just, you know,
In
leaning into
general,
civil rights
because at
movement.
right,
Like,
exactly. We're still
it's a
it's
civil
crazy
right.
how 2024 we're still going through all these different things. Like how dare you take away people's right to decide if they want a child or not? You don't that's just the whole reproductive system. Like we're just it's we can go on and on, but I'm trying to keep us on track a
Let's
little
stay on
bit.
track.
But this is random though, so if we go off track, we go off track.
Okay.
Um. So, but I had a whole thought. Oh my god, I can't believe I thought forgot my thought. Anyway, go ahead, keep talking.
um
No, I remember
Got
now.
it. Okay.
How you said and I'm like okay, I got it. So, just something you said in the sense of just like um what I've kind of heard a lot of because I have noticed is that in just in the African American culture, we have a lot of individuals who are a part of the LGBTQIA. And what I've heard is that, people make the comment of like it's a fad. Now, I heard that in 98 too, that it was a fad, 98, 98, 99. Ooh, I'm just dating myself today. But but I'm still hearing it now and I think I'm hearing it even more that it seems like it's a fad that people that individuals are going through as far as what their sexuality is.
Hmm.
The only thing that is I think is different is that between 98 and now is that we have so like sexuality is open. People like it's not just about oh I am gay or I am lesbian. Now we're looking at you have transsexual, we
Hmm.
have non-binary,
Transgender,
transgender.
gender diverse, gender
Ju-
expansive. Like,
yeah, it goes. People are really open. We have people who are poly.
mm-hmm,
It's out or there's it keeps going.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like Prince would be happy.
I think, you know what's funny. That's yes, and at the same time, I was just having a conversation with my partner, and she was telling me she was listening to um, something on social media,
Uh-huh.
and someone was talking extremely negatively about Young Miami in terms of like her relationship with Diddy, and to not go down that rabbit hole, but there was like a lot of hatred toward this young woman choosing to like love being sexually promiscuous. Like that is where she lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes. Like, and she's like, this is how I identify. Yeah, I get down with this. I enjoy this
Mm-hmm.
kind of sex act. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. And she's like open and freely talking about that. Who am I
To
to
judge her.
condemn
Mm-hmm.
that, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
it sounds like, you know, this person is has selected to do that safely,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no harm there.
Right.
And you have people on the left and on the right that have things to say about something that don't have a damn thing to do with your life. That's what really like gets me messed up. You want to be in my life, you know, want to know what my mouth is doing and what my fingers and
Mm-hmm.
how I'm doing the things that I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
when for me that level of curiosity is letting me know that you're living in the closet.
Yeah, and you're living vicarious through me, and it's upsetting you. It kind of goes right back to
To
how
me in college.
if you in college and how you were like, basically, how dare you?
Hmm.
How can we stop her? Let's get the demon out of her. Look at the whole,
Yeah.
just ready for it. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. It goes back to one of my other episodes where I just kind of say, at the end of the day, it's so crazy that we're still making sex and people's sexuality is such a taboo thing. Like,
People do not like to be uncomfortable,
right.
right? And so if you're doing something that brings discomfort to me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to figure out a way to damn you.
Yes.
It may not
Yes.
even be to hell, but I am going to make you feel like the lowest of the low,
Mm-hmm.
because either I don't understand it or
Mm.
I think negatively about it without being very ill informed about
Say
what
it.
I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
you're basing a judgment off of your lack of intelligence, right?
Right.
So it's just like
Your knowledge is low just because your knowledge is low. I thought about that
ignorance.
today. Yes. And that's why I said when people don't understand something, they tend to condemn it and try to shut it down as soon as they possibly can.
Because that's easier. I
It
don't to how many of
How much
read a book?
energy
Like
though?
it's just
How much
easier to not
energy do
have
you spend though?
understanding.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of
it is a
energy.
lot of energy.
When you can, like you said, pick up a book, sit next to somebody and have a conversation with them. Watch a watch a podcast.
Could do that. I
Because I'm
mean,
sure people are talking about different things all the time. I flip through things and I see, people talk about sexuality, how we're getting to the point of, if everybody's dating everybody, where do we have children, and how our economy is going to turn out and everything. I watch all that.
hmm
So I think that people, my hope for this world is that we can open our minds to really the key word of coexist.
it. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And I feel like we have to be a little bit more aggressive with that. Hope is very much so like it feels a little um not passive, because you're believing like we can do this, we can get there. But
Mm-hmm.
like there are some actionable items that I can, like you just said, podcast, educate yourself. There's
Right.
too much. We're in the era of information. You can ask Siri a question and Siri will let you know. Inform.
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia. You could be, it could be wrong. You will get to, once you start researching things, you will get to the right information.
Mm-hmm.
At some point you will have a conversation with somebody
Right.
that
But
will reel
that's
you
isn't that
in.
still a hope though, that they, just because you actually a person hears someone, or or they see something, do they really take it in?
I'm asking people to change. I think that our ancestors,
Right.
if they lived on a hope, we wouldn't be here today,
Mm.
right? They were
You
out
are
in the
correct.
streets. They
They made
they
moves.
felt that my life is just as equitable. I want equity like you're getting it,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
deserve that so hardcore
Mm-hmm.
that this dog is biting me because this food is not that bomb, but I deserve to be here.
Right.
So I'm going to put my life on the line. Like, so I'm not hoping, I'm not asking permission to be here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking space. And also, the people that are always fighting are the ones that are impacted by this, right?
Right.
So we need allies. That A in the LGBTQIA, we need allies. We need people that are more or less accomplices that are saying, like, I see you, I got you. Like talking about the abolitionists, they were not hoping that other white people were changing.
Mm-hmm.
They were forcing, they were taking things by force, right?
Right.
And it feels like, and I'm feeling myself get very warm now. I don't know if it was this cup, but
It's the
it's
liquor.
something in this liquor. But
No, but I think you're really speaking on some. It's human rights. It's humanity. It's and that's and I know that you're very passionate about it, and I do agree with you that at the end of the day, it's not just. I know I'm still using the word hope.
I'm not knocking you for that.
No, you're right. And that's the thing about we're always going to, so you're going to say no, we need to tear the walls down. It's no longer about hope. It's about no, we need to grab it, we need to have it, and we need to be respectful of each other.
Go
And like
back to that stat you said. How many? 46% of our babies under
41.
18,
Yeah.
41%. I cannot hope for a safer world for them to not
No,
want
no,
to
so
have
you're right.
suicidal
I apologize.
ideation.
It was 46. I
Yeah,
apologize. Yeah.
like 46% of our young people potentially could not be here any longer. And for me to sit here stagnantly to just hope for
Right.
change for them,
Mhm.
for our what we consider future,
Mhm. Mhm.
there's got to be more happen. There's got to be legislations changing. There's got to be on the local level. We have to see where there are levels of support within our school district for our children.
Mhm.
We have to have different programs that are available where young people feel okay. We have to have conversations with our teachers. We have to have conversations with the churches, with anyone that's in leadership that has a voice, that has a microphone, that has an audience that is listening.
Mhm.
Our young people need to know that they matter and that there is a place where they can be okay. And that should be everywhere. We
Everywhere.
shouldn't have to have these spaces of identification that are like, this is a safe space for you.
Right.
We
Right.
deserve, you said human, it is a human right. We hold these rights to be evident that all people
Exactly.
are created equal, right?
Right. That
it's
is good.
it's in there, but
Mhm.
yet and still we have our native indigenous people fighting. We have black people that are still fighting. We have the Latino community that's fighting. We're still talking about the border. Like all this stuff is intersection. It's
Yeah.
the conversation is intersects into other things, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could get, you you could keep going and I could keep going on it because I think it kind of you slipped it in on me and I kind of laughed and said oh okay but it goes back to what you said
Yeah.
like where we're at and I know that there are multiple groups that are fighting so I definitely say to those who I wish if I had the information and maybe we can find the information and just put it out there as a PSA just how can people really be a part of because my thing is nobody should want to kill themselves because of who they are as
Because
an
of who they are.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
No one. And so I have to ask you, what when did you finally say, you know what, this is who I am. This is who Donya is.
We having that Oprah moment, right? A Yanda moment. Um, because to be quite honest, I went through my 20s and struggling to find my way. Because now that I'm here, now I have to decide, how do I want to be gay? Do I want to be what is my level of comfort? Do I want to be presenting as femme? Do I want to be presenting as more masculine? Do I like and still all of these things are check boxes that we did not create. Like
Right.
again, it's just about being yourself.
Right.
And people
Who you are,
accepting
who you
that.
are.
And I
How you
think
feel.
it really kind of landed in my 30s, early 30s,
Mm.
that I was like, okay. My family and I kind of had a come to Jesus moment. And the irony of all of this, I still identify as a Christian woman because you're not going to tell me that God doesn't love me.
Say
You're not
it.
going to tell me that.
Say it. No, for real. Like
The
at the
same
end of
God
the
you pray
day,
to is the same God that I pray to.
and that's my part. Like I don't care whoever comes on and watch the show. My thing is like this: I am a child of God. He made me. He made no mistakes.
Hmm.
Understand that he makes no mistakes,
Hmm.
and nobody can tell you who you can worship or who you can love just because oh you don't fit into our little section like that. And you know what? Shame on you. And I'm gonna say it. shame on them. Because my thing is, it goes back to being human.
Hmm.
God says, "Love everybody as I love you."
And whoever you calling God, right?
Right.
We don't have the same language on that,
That's true
right?
too.
But God is universal,
Mhm.
and that is and the belief that you have,
Mhm.
I'm super accepting of that. But yeah, I think I had a couple of run-ins with the very much so wrong ones as I was in this process of coming to into who I am.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of great people that were in that space of support. So like
Mhm.
going, you know, to feel like when you're going against what is the grain, what is the norm,
Mhm.
to be able to successfully do that. There are some people that can be solo dolo and be quite okay and live in that. I am not one of those people. I need a community. I need some level of supportive love surrounding me,
Mhm.
and there was strength there. I got that, and I was able to really find confidence in who I was.
Mhm.
It was a journey, like a literal kind of just coming out of my own. And I really feel like, honestly, in my late 30s is where I could stand on 10 toes and be like, yeah, I'm good. Because even earlier in my 20s, I would not say I was lesbian. Oh my God. I couldn't say it. It was like I would choke up, like, I
Wow.
don't want to say that's what I am. And it was just a lot of like that internalized homophobia that I was still managing.
Right. So what did you act like, what did you do? What helped you in that process of getting to the point where, like, hey.
I got tired of dating a lot of people in the closet, and to the point of where it's like, you're not coming to the house with me. You're
Mhm.
not, like, this is going to stop here. That
Mhm.
got old soon because I was not building strong relationships, and I
Mm.
wanted that. I wanted to be in a committed relationship with someone,
Mhm.
and I wanted to do it right. And by the time I finally got into a relationship with someone, there was so much baggage that I was carrying within that, that person kind of didn't meet the right me, the right
Right.
version of me.
Right.
And I think once I got into, again, my late 30s, I finally just like started therapy,
Mhm.
and really pulling the parts that did not serve me any
Mhm.
longer.
Mhm.
Um, Super plug to therapy. There are so many levels of options on how you can enter into that space on sliding scales. So
Mhm.
get into it. Um,
Mhm.
and accepting myself. I have to accept myself because if I go back to the 18-year-old that was Bible thumping the lesbian call mate,
Mhm.
I had to let that, you have no space here.
Right.
And loving on myself looked like accepting all of me,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And a part of that, I learned that I had friends that I grew up with that loved me for me. There was no questions. There's no weirdness. And from what I know, the only queer person in our group. And I feel there was a long time where I didn't even talk to my friends about like people that I was dating. It wasn't until like I lived in the same neighborhood area as my brother that I would go out with a girl and it was like, oh yeah, this is real. This is for real. And then I started slowly bringing women around with me to
Mhm.
where I didn't have to out myself anymore. You see it, yeah, that bad one, that's me. And that was a problem too. I had a problem with like, oh, you got to look a certain way. If I'm gonna be with a woman, she
Uh-huh.
gotta be bad and she gotta da 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 da. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
that's so that's
it
just a
became
universal
it. No,
thing,
no,
right?
you know why? Because I
Why?
was falling into like the social cast of, oh, I am gonna be like the guys that I hang out with
Mm.
because I thought that to be with a woman meant, oh, I gotta be like a dude.
Right.
And I don't know where I'm actually trying to figure that part out too,
Mhm.
because as I'm in a beautiful relationship today, a lot of the conversations that we have with our therapist or even without our therapist is like, why do you feel like you have to show up this way? Why do you feel, who told you that you needed to be the leader here? What about
Mm.
co-leadership? Like, what if true partnership is real? What if
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
can
Do things together.
coexist?
That's gonna be my new. coexist.
like the rainbow.
Wait. It's this way. Is it wait?
Mm.
I don't
And some
know.
little
Anyway,
stars.
just like little
The
stars.
more you
Well, you
know.
know, the more.
More you know. Yeah.
Anyway, so
It takes work to get here. Just life. Like
yeah.
we're living, and especially as someone in their mid 40s
Mhm.
that is wanting to have a better life for themselves and
Mhm. Mhm.
is really debunking all of the things that are just no longer working. Like, oh, asking the questions. Sometimes they may be the wrong questions, but the wrong question will lead me to the right one, and I'll show up a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger and a little
Right.
bit stronger. And that's just
Do
kind
you
of how it's working.
do you feel that that you're there just being confident in who you are at this point in life?
That's yes, and that literally took therapy because for so long I was told no,
Mhm.
don't do that. You're wrong for that. That is not who you are. Oh, okay. I think it's who I am. So now I'm questioning if I even know
Mhm.
who. Alrighty. So
Some
yeah,
people's
they're
self talk is real. Like everybody be like, "Oh, you talk to yourself. That's you great." No, self
hmm
talk is real because sometimes you got to figure it out within yourself before you can go and do anything. Um. So guess what?
what happened?
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Why?
I think it's awesome. I think that at the end of the day, yes, I know that we're in a whole nother uh, era and everything, and so now it's easier, a little bit easier, for individuals to be who they are
mm
when they feel a certain thing. Parents, I feel sometimes are a little bit more open.
mm.
Some
There's a lot more education
there's a lot more
happening,
education. There's a lot more.
access to information.
Everything's out in the open now. Can I tell you what I've noticed is like being something that's out in the open?
What's that?
Dominatrix.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I'm noticing that like that's so much more. That's on a whole nother show. But I'm noticing that's like more in movies now. Like you
Okay.
kind of saw a little bit probably in certain movies, but now
hmm
I'm noticing like shows and everything are starting to really show it now. And I'm like, that it's a
Oh.
real thing.
That's funny you say that because remember when Ellen had her show,
Uh-huh.
and when she came out, it was like the show just kind of crumbled,
They
and
it
it didn't
did.
end up working for her. So
They
we
weren't
have come a
ready.
long way
Yes, we
in
have.
that sense, and there
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
still a lot of room for us to allow more voices and people to be at the table because our trans black sisters are not getting the love and support that they need. There's so much data that details the harm that's being done to
Mhm.
them, and we've just got to do better there.
And I think that so at some point I plan to do panels.
hmm
And I think that is a really good panel conversation because I think what's happening and just by things that I've seen on TikTok and everything is that you know what, I'm gonna channel that. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because it's a long conversation because there are still the thoughts of like, what, I am a black woman. I These are the things that I experience every day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, you you want you feel that you are a black woman. You're transitioning to a black woman. So there are things that you don't see or feel like we feel.
hmm
And so that's a real conversation to have between individuals so
hmm
that it can really come out.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I'm gonna channel it. But that's kind of why I want to do that and make it a panel because I think that's um I agree with you. We really need to be able to, there go my word again, coexist.
You know, Malcolm X said it. The most disrespected person in America is the black woman,
Yes.
and that in 2024 still reigns true. Um, Unfortunately, if
It's
you
unfortunate.
step outside of what is already been identified as what the norm of what womanhood looks like, you're damned. If you do it to the best of your ability, you're
Mm-hmm.
damned.
Yeah.
If you halfway do it, you're damned. There is no win. Shout out to Beyonce for Cowboy Carter
Yeah. Yes.
because
Came out
those a
March
lot of the
29th.
songs that she's talking about. really go into the identity of a black woman
Mm-hmm.
existing in America and how much is placed on us.
Right. So I'm gonna cut you off there
Go ahead.
because we're running out of time, and you haven't done a random question
Oh, okay. Let's see.
yet. I feel like you're gonna have to come back and we could talk about woman empowerment and just where we're at in this society because it's real. Because I was watching Shirley Chisholm. That's a that woman right there. Big ups to her. Rest in peace. What's your question?
Oh my God, the level of sexism. If you had to choose between WAP, a woman that cooks, or a Fortune 500 woman type, what would I choose?
What would you choose? Because obviously they don't all three exist in this world at the same time.
I don't
So in
know
one individual, they
because I think I'm on my way. I think that I might have found the unicorn
Girl,
because
look
I
at you
got
do
this. Oh,
it. She got the
she gonna
WAP. She
she
got the Fortune 500 thing popping,
yeah,
and she
and
can cook.
she can cook.
Look
Not
it,
better than me, but she can cook. I just had to be
yo.
honest.
No, be honest. It's
She
okay.
doesn't. She
Look
knows
it.
that.
Look it.
I love you, AJ. She knows that.
Right.
But I'm the better cook of the two of us. But if I had to choose,
Mhm.
I because I can cook, that wouldn't really phase me. That would be cool. I think you know my I have this hope of like opening a business. So if I could
Mhm.
be in partnership with a woman that has business acumen, I would definitely go for that. And please, if there's a woman that is a Fortune 500 woman, she got that wop. Just you might not be getting it, but I
Look,
will.
look it.
She's
She
got that
probably
wop,
so stressed and
and
overwhelmed,
that's
and
why
that's why
I
it's
come
so the
in and
WAP.
it's whoppy. It's so whoppy up in there. I'm shout out to the YMCA for teaching me how to swim.
I'm so done
The
with
more you
you.
know.
The more you know. But listen, no, but for real, I feel like at the end of the day, there are multiple unicorns out there in the world.
Mm,
However, it kind of go back to where you made the statement of, where you learned how to be, I should have a bad girl, I should have badass
that's
and
a whole
everything.
nother.
And so if you look at it, people are so worried. It's so crazy. It's still a thing. And men are so worried about it, or women,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you want to go with,
Yeah,
they they're missing out.
because it's all goes back ties back into being socially acceptable. So there's
Right.
a way to do things like dare a gay black man to
Uh-huh.
be feminine presenting, to be like girl, child, honey, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is gonna turn their necks and look at him. But if he comes in like, oh hey, good
What
evening,
up? How you
how
doing?
everybody doing? Oh, okay, we're not tripping off him. We feel safe. I feel comfortable. I'm at ease. I'm not on guard because I
Uh-huh.
don't know what's happening here, right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
all that energy is from you, not from my brother that's more feminine and comfortable in his femininity.
Right.
He's just doing him. So why is that rustling your feathers? Which is we could talk about that for an extended amount of time.
Right. Right. I think that I have one more question for you because we gotta wrap it up.
Okay,
Uh,
this was a good one.
but however, I do want to say this is a PSA. Y'all out here complaining about what y'all can't find. Stop looking for badasses that you can use as trophies and look for the real shit.
Ooh,
Because they are out there. There are multiple unicorns out there that got the WAP, that is Fortune 5,000, 2,000, 300, 1,000,000, and they also can cook and clean and hold it down.
listen, if you start with a woman that is filled with intellect, there will never be a dry moment in your life. I don't know how. I'm just blessed. God has granted favor upon me because I am not the smartest fool pencil
Look
in
it.
the box, but an
Stop it.
intellectual woman will will fall in love with my goofy, silly, short, stubby self. Will always, and she
but
be cute
but
too.
you're an intellect goofy though. You're intellect goofy. You're not like a a mild goofy like me. Like I'm goofy. Well, no, because there are days where I'll be like, just my mind just goes whoosh, and you're like, oh, she got her third eye open today.
Mm.
Compared to when I be like shutting it down and be like, I don't care, I ain't going through all that because that's stressful. But anyway, that what's your what do you do for self care
Ah,
other than swimming?
I enjoy cooking. I enjoy cooking and learning about wine.
That's what's
Yeah,
up.
that's my thing.
So I know that we've had conversations about you open up a wine what was
Bar.
that? Bar, thank you. A
That's it.
wine bar in the city of Compton, possibly. Compton,
Yes.
California. Woo woo.
Come on, investors, if you're out there.
Man.
This is the doors of the church are closing. The collection plate is passing. You got my first and last name. Find me and invest in somebody. If I said one word that touched your heart,
Hey.
think about how great I'd be to be in partnership for a
Well,
business.
mm-hmm.
I'm getting certifications in wine.
Get it?
I can do a sample wine tasting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Invite a group over. I'll bring the wine. I like to highlight, you know, BIPOC folks in wine because there's a small percentage of us,
Mm,
queer folks in wine, women
mm,
in wine.
mm,
There's intersectionality within that.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, have a wine party
Yes.
on me. Hit me up.
Mm-hmm. And where can they find you?
They can find me. Look for me on Slow Cook Her all together. SLOWCOOKHER. Slow cooker. You get it? Got it. Good.
IG,
IG.
Instagram,
That's me.
aka.
If you find me on TikTok, there's nothing there. I am
You find
just
me
a
on
creep.
TikTok. I am Z Singleton /Nespug. You will find many things. However, we're done.
All right. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you for being a part. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story for as much as you could. Because I feel like we could have kept going on it. Because you can't wrap up a whole lifetime or a half of a lifetime over 1 hour. You just can't do it. But we did our best. You
For
did your
sure.
best.
And that was just my experience.
Right.
It's so many diverse stories and like how folks have come out and what they've experienced in this world and with whom they've experienced it with.
Right. And y'all could reach out to her too, just in regards to any questions that you may have. She gave you her IG. Hit her up, DM her. All right.
That's
So
cool.
this is what I gotta say. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming once again. And hit that subscribe button. Do that little notification. And oh, sorry, didn't mean to flick the finger. I don't know where that came from.
Gotta
And give
edit
me
that.
your feedback. And excuse my finger. I don't know where that came from. And give love, show love, love yourself. Stay random, and bye.